everybody, today we're making homemade flatbread with some mackerel salad.
Hello. So the ingredients that you're going to need are some flour. You can use whatever flour you've got in the cupboard, but we've got strong white bread flour, some warm water and some oil and some spices, and this is for the flatbread. And then on top of the flatbread we've got some mackerel and tomato sauce, some beans, white beans, excellent, and some asparagus. And we have asparagus just because that's what I've got in my fridge, and asparagus is in season at the moment. So first we're going to start with making the flatbread.
So I'm just going to add some onion coils and I'm going to just shake it in. Then after that I'm going to add some paprika.
So we've got about half a teaspoon of both of these, and that's just to give your flatbread a bit of flavour, but again you can add any spices that you've got in your cupboard. Then we're going to add
some oil.
And then we're going to give it a mix with the fork.
Yeah.
If you don't mind getting your hands dirty, this is a good opportunity to get your hands in, but Milo's going to start with a fork. And get all of that oil mixed in with your flour. It will still be obviously really dry at this point. And then we've got some warm water which we're going to add to it. Just a little bit at a time, and keep mixing with your fork. The good thing about making these flatbreads is that they are completely yeast free. So we can add some baking powder for some lift, but we're just going to keep these really simple and plain, and it means that at a time now when there's not much yeast around, we can still make bread at home, and it's great for children as well. So we're going to keep mixing, get all of those dry bits in. It's best to add the water a bit at a time. Get right around the edges, honey. Just a bit at a time, just in case you have too much and we don't want your mixture to be too wet, okay?
After 3 minutes, your dough will come together in a ball.
So keep mixing, and then after a couple of minutes, you should be able to clean the sides of your bowl, and there should be no flour left. It should end up in a nice smooth ball like that. So then just turn your dough out onto a floured work surface. So just going to put a little bit of flour onto our work surface here, and onto our rolling pin. So once you've poured it out onto the floured surface, cut it in half, because this is enough dough for 2 to 3 flatbreads. The recipe will be below. So we're going to put it onto the floured surface, flatten it out and start rolling your dough out so it's nice and thin. So keep rolling, that's it. So roll and turn. Again, this is a great activity for children to do, as it makes really good homemade flatbreads.
After a few minutes, roll your dough out until it's really thin.
Yeah, roll it out so it's nice and thin, so it cooks evenly and quite quickly. It doesn't really matter about the shape. If you can get it round, fantastic, but it doesn't really matter. So here we've got a frying pan, which we're going to cook it in, completely dry. This is a little bit too big, so we're just going to make it the right size by laying the frying pan on top and just cutting around your fry. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just going to trim off the bits that are a little bit too big. And then we're going to go and cook the flatbread, and we'll be back in a minute and show you what it's like. Whilst we're cooking the flatbread, we're also going to cook the asparagus. But we'll show you we'll show you what we did in that process when we come back in a minute. So we've cooked the flatbread on a dry pan for about 3 to 4 minutes each side. So you can see that the flatbread is completely cooked, and you can see that it's started to brown up there really nicely. You don't want to use any oil, because that will be frying it. It's not healthy, and that's not how we need to cook our flatbread. So once that was done, we then took that out of the pan, and we put some asparagus in the pan straight after and did exactly the same thing. But this time I did add a teaspoon of olive oil to it, and a little bit of pepper, and then cook that for 3 to 4 minutes until slightly tender. So those are all of your elements done. We're just going to put them together now. So We have a tin of mackerel in tomato sauce here, but you can have mackerel in oil, but just drain the oil off. And we've got some white beans here. So Milo, if you want to use a fork, just slightly mash down your mackerel. Just break it up like so it's not in big huge pieces. That's all right, honey, well done. And then I'm going to add in a small tablespoon of white beans. You can use any beans again that you like, which is perfectly fine. We're also going to add in with this, so give it a good mix, honey. That's it. We're also going to add in the same seasoning that we had in with the flatbread, so a bit of paprika. So this is about half a teaspoon. So you can get smoked paprika, sweet paprika, this is just standard paprika, it's not spicy at all. So it's nice to kind of add those extra flavours in there for children. Again, echoing what we put into the flatbread, about half a teaspoon of garlic granules in there. So that's done. We'll get our fork right in there, sweetie. Just give it a good mix up, like that. So the beans are all mixed in together. Again, like we said in the last video, don't add any salt to your food. It's not necessary, and particularly for children. Too much salt's really bad for them. And we're going to add in a couple of pieces of asparagus just in there. Again, you can use any vegetables. If your children don't like asparagus, you can add some sweet corn or some peas. Perfectly fine. Mix that in with that, like that. And we're ready to serve it up already. So do you want to pop here's your spoon, sweetie. I'm just going to spoon it into the middle of our flatbread. Excellent, well done. Nice little pile of fish and beans. So tin fish is really great. Things like tuna and salmon are good and they're more common, but it's good to eat a variety of fish. Mackerels are really good alternatives, or you can have sardines or something like that. Just make sure you don't buy it in brine, and if you do buy it in oil, just make sure you drain the oil off. That's probably more than enough, plenty. One more, excellent, well done. And yeah, and you can use any beans that you like. So that's it. We're going to add a little squeeze of lime to the top of it. Oh. A little squeeze of lime just to give it a little bit of extra flavour, and you can either eat it with a knife and fork, or you can roll it up.
Very nice.